of the federal government they voluntarily constituted? What if the states were mere provinces of a totally nationalized and fully centralized government? What if the Constitution was amended stealthily, not by constitutional amendments duly ratified by the states, but by the constant and persistent expansion of the federal government's role in our lives? What if the federal government decided if its own powers were proper and constitutional? What if the Constitution were no longer the supreme law of the land? What if you needed a license from the government to speak, to assemble, or to protest against the government? What if the government didn't like what you planned to say, and so it didn't give you the license? What if the right to keep and bear arms only applied to the government? What if posse comitatus, the federal law that prohibits our military from occupying our streets, were no longer in effect? What if the government considered the military an adequate dispenser of domestic law enforcement? What if cops looked and acted like troops and you couldn't distinguish the military from the police? What if you were not secure in your person, in your papers, and in your property? What if federal agents could write their own search warrants in defiance of the Constitution? What if the government could decide when you were and were not entitled to a jury trial? What if the government could take your property whenever it wanted? What if the government could continue prosecuting you until it got the verdict it wanted? What if the government could force you to testify against yourself simply by labeling you a domestic terrorist? What if the government could torture you until you said what the government wanted to hear? What if people running for president actually supported torture? What if the government tortured your children to get to you? What if government judges and government lawyers intimidated juries into convicting the innocent? What if the government could send you to your death and your innocence meant nothing so long as the government's procedures were followed? What if America's prison population, the largest in the world, was a cruel and unusual way for a country to be free? What if half the prison population never harmed anyone but themselves? What if the people had no rights except those the government chose to let them have? What if the states had no rights except to do as the federal government commanded? What if our elected officials didn't really live among us, but instead all had their hearts and homes in Washington, D.C.? What if the government could strip you of your rights because of where your mother was when you were born? What if the income tax was unconstitutional? What if the states were convinced to give up their representation in Congress? What if the government tried to ban you from using a substance in your body that is older than the government itself? What if voting didn't mean anything anymore because both political parties stand for big government? What if the government could write any law, regulate any behavior, and tax any event, the Constitution be damned? What if the government was the reason we don't have a Constitution anymore? What if you could love your country, but hate what the government has done to it? What if sometimes, to love your country, you had to alter or abolish the government? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if I'm right? What if the government is wrong? What if it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong? What if it is better to perish fighting for freedom than to live as a slave? What if freedom's greatest hour of danger is now?
And there's your beautiful baby. Any day now.
Really? You're eating Doritos? He's eating Doritos on my ultrasound. Do you see what I have to do? I know. Give me that.
What a commercial.
Number 10.
Well, there are a lot of things. Certainly there are some folks in this community from that. There are a lot of folks that believe the First Amendment only applies to them. So great pains to shout down anybody that disagrees with them. Despite reaching the line, so that they're understanding that they can tell themselves very straight, given common executive, executives that are reached on their more personal part in general. So, you know, this is time, the person basically tragic. I've said it over and over again. Tragedy for the family, tragedy for Officer Manning, it's a tragedy for the community. And I'm not blind to the fact that there's a lot of people lining up to take advantage of this tragedy and flying their own agendas upstate in this country.
You're accused of saying something to one of the protesters, one of the people in the stands.
He was making so much noise, I have no idea what's going on. Maybe this is something.
What's your response to some people that thought you were being disrespectful by being in squad and not being protected?
Well, I was on the phone, and yes, that's true. I was following developments with a 5-year-old little girl sitting on her dad's lap who just got shot and was going to drive by shooting. There's some of the people here getting a good goddamn about the victimization of people in this community by crime. I take some of their invective more seriously. The greatest racial disparity in the city of Milwaukee is getting shot and killed. Hello. 80% of my homicide victims every year are African American. 80% of our aggravated assault victims are African American. 80% of our shooting victims who survived their shooting are African American. Now, they know all about the last 3 people who have been killed by the Milwaukee Police Department over the course of the last several years. There's not one of them can name one of the last 3 homicide victims we've had in this city. Now, there's room for everybody to participate in fixing this police department, and I'm not pretending we're without sin. But this community's at risk already. And it's not because men and women in blue risk their lives protecting it. It's at risk because we have large numbers of high-capacity, quality firearms in the hands of remorseless criminals who don't care who they shoot. Now, I'm leaving here to go to that scene. And I take it personally, okay? We're going up there, and there's a bunch of cops processing a scene with a dead kid. And they're the ones that are going to be out there patrolling and stopping suspects, and they have guns under the front seat. They're the ones that are going to take the risks of their lives to try to clean this thing up. All right? We're responsible for the things we get wrong, and we take action. We've arrested cops, we've fired cops, and so on. But the fact is that the people out here, some of them who have the most to say, are absolutely MIA when it comes to the true threats facing this community, and it gets a little tiresome when we start getting yelled at for reading the updates of the kid that got shot. Yeah, you take it personally, okay? Now, no offense, but I'm going up there.
Number 9.
And out front, CNN political commentator Mark Lamont Hill and Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, thanks for coming on. Sheriff Clark, this is horrific, what happened, obviously. But do you think it is fair to link this murder to the Black Lives Matter movement when we still don't know the suspect's motive?
I think it's very fair in light of the anti-cop rhetoric that is sweeping the United States of America, fueled by this group, some of the vulgar, vile, vicious rhetoric that's coming out, talking about killing cops, and that's just some of the nice stuff, some of the stuff I can't even say here on TV, but there is no doubt in my mind that 2 New York officers, Ramos and Lou, were gunned down by an individual who made Facebook postings about wanting to kill pigs, and he was going to go out and hunt officers down. There have been officers across the United States who had their cruisers shot at and struck while they patrolled St. Louis, the same thing. Yes, this is part of a pattern now, and you have to stick your head.
Today, I'm going to show you how to flip a car. I'm going to show you the whole process on how I do it. All right? Let's go. As you guys know already, I'm a mechanic. I work on cars all the time. We got a 97 Honda Civic here. The guy wants $1,200. It was a project car. He ran out of money. Check engine lights on. By the way, I specialize in those cars. Check engine lights, blowing head gaskets, doesn't matter to me. I still buy them. I like the ones with blowing head gaskets because I give them $500. But anyway, this one right here, tags are expired, but the fees are paid, registration fees. Let's see. The car does not have a driver's side window, text only. Come today and get it off my hands for $1,000. Okay, we just did the negotiations through text. accepting nothing less than 2,400. So I'm gonna shoot for 2,400. You gotta know your after repair bike. Go to your Kelly Blue Book first. Go to the market first. You will know the numbers, the true numbers are right here. This is the market for what you're selling. This doesn't lie. The market doesn't lie. And this is what people are gonna go off. Let's go out there, flip this car. And I'm gonna show you how to do it step by step. Okay? This is how I do it. I'm a mechanic. Some people do it different. They got their own style. Some people don't work on them. And they flip them like that. Some people are dealers. I'm not. I'm a mechanic. This is side one.
When I'm asleep, my brain is still in motion. I sort of see it like little pieces of fiber that are connecting.
It's incredible how active my mind is when I'm sleeplessly legacy.
When I'm asleep, my brain is active and going around.
Come on now.
My brain is like,
Come on now.
when I go to sleep at night, my brain is like, just waking up, awake, sleeping, just kind of tapers off. It's just waking up.
Oh, y'all waking up, baby.
When you're asleep, you're pretty much awake, but you don't know it.
Wow. The kids, oh, you make me cry.
When I'm asleep, I think my cells are resting. Your brain needs time to recover and rest and let synapses.
Great for us nowadays if we don't get a minimum of 7 hours sleep. We're in serious trouble.
My body needs rest. It needs to take off its job. It does a lot.
Your heart does a lot. Everything that is you to be you comes from your heart.
I might not really want to deal with when I'm awake.
Maybe sort of a kind of sexual.
The mind is just a link to the creator.
Maybe
Because
I'll practice with somebody
all the
and my
sparks
brain
that go
I
on
really
in your
start to
mind
shift, then
is
I
the
come across the person
divine
again,
creator.
I think I'll feel it a little bit more.
The creator would never be divine if the creator was to control your mind without letting you go with your free will. Your free will is you. But the fire to go is the love unconditionally, the feeling that's real, the creator. For you to be a creator too.
One, who at the end of the tunnel, and I actually feel like I'm actually falling.
Well, that's a good question.
Where does my mind go?
I don't really know.
I'm searching for solutions.
Can be on all the time.
My mind is awake, but I'm sleeping.
I don't know if I'm dreaming. I think it's important. Maybe it's not that important. Sleep and dreams are such insight into yourself and your own challenges.
Amazing.
Hello, I'm Carl Zimmer. Thank you all for coming out for this evening of an exploration of sleep. I'm sure that all of you, like myself, have asked a lot of those questions that we just saw. And actually, tonight, we're going to be able to talk with 3 of the world's experts on sleep, people who study sleep for a living, and in 3 really remarkably different ways. We're going to learn about how animals sleep. How does a bird sleep exactly? We're going to eavesdrop on a rat's dreams. And we're also going to watch what happens when human sleep goes really, really wrong. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guests, our speakers. The first one is Dr. Niels Rattenberg. Dr. Rattenberg has made groundbreaking discoveries.
I want to thank you.
Dr. Rattenberg's made groundbreaking discoveries on animal sleep, including birds.
Blowing up a car that I need to finish my collection.
He's taken a
But it's
red
all
eye
cool.
to join us, but he seems to be absolutely awake.
You just was doing what you normally do.
Panelist will be Dr.
Be irritated. You can't irritate me, man. You can't make me never do nothing that you want me to do.
Dr. Wilson is a neuroscientist at MIT.
It has to get upset with you.
The Picower Institute for Learning and Memory, where he has...
I use the reverse psychology on you. You got upset.
And our final panelist will be Dr. Carlos Schenk.
Now we go here with God knows, with what I already know, which is a powerful part of you is your brain. The most power in your whole body is how much heart do you have to stand up to the truth with anybody. That's the real creative love, unconditional fulfilling in you. To be able to stand up with someone without thinking about or wanting to go into a conflict, meaning not thinking about hurting nobody and living in this life and shit.
And animal sleep. And I believe you brought a really nice picture of a human and a coral to kind of put this into context so we can have that picture. So here we have two animals, the human, us, and a coral. Maybe you could tell us a bit about sleep in the animal kingdom. I mean, we all have seen our dogs or cats sleep, but how widespread is sleep?
A word of warning, partner. The ID business is at maximum capacity, so you'll need to unload some bogus documents before you can print any more, or, like, make a profit, okay? Comprende? Sell something! LJT out.
And by studying animals ranging from simple organisms such as this brain coral to more complex organisms, we may gain insight into the function of sleep, both in general and in our brain.
So does a coral sleep?
Well, they retreat into their calcium house in the daytime, so these corals might actually be sleeping while the awake, I presume awake human is observing them.
Right. And why?
There's a lot of work studying fruit flies in the last 10 years, and they've been shown to clearly engage in sleep. They have many parallels with sleep in humans, sleep in mammals. Their sleep becomes more fragmented when they get older. There changes in
A word of warning, partner. The ID business is at maximum capacity. Bogus documents before you can print any more, or, like, make a profit, okay? Comprende? Sell something! LJT out.
Manipulate the genome. You can turn genes on, you can turn genes off, you can induce mutations and look at how that affects their sleep. And if you find some gene that's very interesting that affects their sleep, then you can look in mammals to see if it plays a similar role. And that's
Good day to people.
Now,
Good day.
studying is much closer relative to us.
Good evening.
Frank
And good
study
night.
birds.
It is what it is.
How do you get interested in studying birds? And
Truth.
why do you think they're important
Fuck all the
for
bullshit.
helping us understand sleep?
Yeah, I actually worked first with humans and then went to study birds. And birds are an extremely exciting group in which to study sleep because they're the only taxonomic group that has evolved sleep patterns very much like ours and those observed in the rest of the mammals.
Why don't you tell us about what our basic sleep pattern is and talk about how birds are like that?
Yeah, so in humans and other mammals, we engage in general types of sleep, and these are measured by looking at changes in brain activity in humans. there is REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. During this state, the brain actually is exhibiting a pattern of activity that's very similar to that observed when we're awake. But we're unresponsive, we're clearly asleep. Then there's another state called non-REM sleep,
Dangerous
in
world.
which the brain waves are markedly different. When you look at the brainwave activity of a bird that's sleeping, they do the same thing. They exhibit both these states. They have REM sleep, their eyes dart around, their brain is very activated, very much like when they're awake. They lose some muscle tone, just like we do. Maybe if you have a cat, sometimes if they sleep on top of a television, when they enter REM sleep, they lose muscle tone and they roll off the seat and fall on the floor. That's one way to see this at home. Try it at home, yes. And if you have dogs will often move their paws and whimper as it's chasing rabbits, and they're in REM sleep. But so these two sleep states that we have, birds have them also. And they don't have similar sleep states because they share a common ancestor that had the same sleep state. They seem to have evolved these patterns independently.
So the mammals that get the REM, non-REM sleep, birds get it too.
Yeah, so the closest living relatives to birds are the crocodiles and other reptiles. And they don't show these two distinct states. They clearly sleep.
Crocodiles probably don't sleep.
I don't know. But,
so, and now, you found one really amazing difference between us and birds, which is, I mean, when we go to sleep, the lights are all out in the sense that our whole brain is involved in sleep, whereas the birds, it's not always the case, right?
Yeah, birds can do a very interesting thing, and that is they can sleep with one eye open. This had been observed decades ago, but nobody had really addressed what was the function of sleeping with one eye open. Now, this might seem like an obvious question, and an obvious answer would be that they're watching for something dangerous while sleeping. You can imagine that sleeping is a very dangerous state to engage in, especially if you live with predators. And so we were interested in testing whether birds use this to watch for predators. And maybe I can just back up 1 second and talk about the image that's currently on the screen. For many animals, there really is this fundamental conflict between the need to be awake and also the need to get their sleep. An interest in this conflict dates back thousands of years, as shown in the legend depicted in this piece of art. According to this legend, in order to stay safe while sleeping, one crane in a group would stay awake holding a stone.
Hi there.
And if he started to fall asleep,
How can I help
he
you?
would relax and drop the stone.
As soon as you've decided, I'll get the Pegasus rep to prepare the vehicle. Okay, I'll get it landed on the helipad.
Thought to keep themselves safe. Now, there's absolutely no scientific evidence that the cranes do this. But as I was discussing, birds can sleep with
Special cargo ready for collection. Go get it and bring it to the warehouse.
to that eye is kind of in a awake or slightly drowsy state. And so we were interested in learning whether they can actually choose when to sleep this way or when to sleep with both eyes closed, because they don't sleep open this way. They spend a lot of time sleeping with both eyes closed. And so what we wanted to do is find a way to make them feel a little nervous when they were sleeping. Just a little edgy. And so we thought about various ways, show them a cat or something. But
they want to torment the
while
damn
we were trying to
bird
figure
too.
out how to test this, I was observing some of our ducks that we were studying in the laboratory, and I saw that 2 of them at night were floating
They
in
see
the
what
water next to
mankind
each
do
other.
to all species.
And while they were doing that,
Put
they were
pressure
closing
on all
the eyes
species
that
Huh.
face each other and opening the
And
eyes
all in the
that
name
face
of
the
fucking
mouth
research.
of each other. And
Search what?
right then and there, the birds designed the experiment for us.
They want their own bullshit.
Elegant study, and I have to say, well,
They want to know too fucking much.
Did you you acknowledge the dust and the paper?
Creative came from nothing but a feeling. Leave it at that.
So this is the experiment that kind of the way.
Yeah,
Leave the rest to the imagination.
Shows the actual external apparatus. So what
Because
we
you'll
did
never
is
get the full truth
literally put our ducks in a row. And
until you die.
we did this because it's been shown
To come
in
back
the
here and get
animals
it straight.
that the animals at the edge of a group spend more time being vigilant, like antelope in Africa. If they're at the edge of the group, they lift their head up and interrupt their feeding more frequently than the ones in the center. Presumably the ones at the edge feel more exposed and more at risk of being eaten. The predators get them first. So we put our ducks in a row, and what we found was a very dramatic effect of where they were in the group. The birds that were in the more central position, that were flanked by ducks on either side, they spent most of their time sleeping with both eyes closed and both halves of their brain. But when the birds were positioned at the end of the row, they switched, and they spent much more time sleeping with one eye open. And they showed a profound preference for directing that open eye away from the other birds, as shown in the cartoon at the bottom. So this clearly showed that they have this habit to sleep with one eye open, and that it serves a function in allowing them to get some sleep without getting eaten.
And I believe we have an image video as well to show that. Because this isn't just limited to birds. I mean, there are other situations where animals will switch off.
Yeah, there seems to be a common trait among birds, but among mammals, this type of sleep is only found in marine mammals. It's found in the cetaceans, the dolphins, and whales. In some of the seals, the fur seal shown in this image, and also in manatees. And in the case of this image, it's a fur seal, and what they do is they have the awake half of their brain, in this case the right half, that's attached to the flipper down in the water. And that flipper paddles and keeps them in a position that allows them to keep their nose above the surface. And that way they can sleep and breathe at the same time. And this needing to sleep and breathe seems to be probably what's driving drove the evolution of this type of sleep in marine mammals.
And so we mammals can afford, land mammals can afford to sleep with their whole brain.
Yeah, it seems that there must be some trade-off for being able to sleep this way. Otherwise, I would expect it to be much more common in the among mammals. But it seems to be restricted to these mammals living in a marine environment. However, there is evidence, even in humans, that sleep can be a local phenomena in the brain. Although behaviorally we're fully asleep, parts of the brain can sleep more deeply than other parts at the same time. And a lot of our current thoughts about the function of sleep and based on this local aspect of sleep were derived from these studies with the marine mammals. And this modulation of sleep intensity locally in the brain seems to be related to how we use certain parts of the brain during wakefulness.
So a region we might be using a lot might go into a deep sleep.
Yeah, so if somebody did a certain task with their hand, that part of the brain connected to that will sleep more deeply afterwards. And you can even do the opposite. There are studies showing that if you immobilize an arm for a day, then the part of the brain that controls that arm goes lighter sleep that night.
So we're clearly getting something out of sleep, and in a way, some of the demands in our waking life make us need to get more of it for this particular area. So there's something about sleep to just restoring our energy. I mean, why would a coral or a fly just sleep, like you do too? And what's the currency there that we all want?
Yeah, great question. I think one thing is to keep in mind is that sleep may have had an initial primordial function, perhaps in the other simple organisms. But that once an animal was sleeping, and as they became more complex, other functions may accumulated during the course of evolution. So sleeping humans and sleeping birds may not be the same as these animals. But I think to get back to birds, I have a bird bias. I kind of like them. But, okay. The fact that they independently evolve similar sleep states really is an opportunity to understand the function of these states. If we can figure out what it is that a bird brain has in common with a human brain, that should give us clues to what the function of these states are.
So clearly we have a lot of mysteries still left to figure out, even about human states. We actually talked to one of the real pioneers of modern sleep research, Robert Sickles of Harvard Medical School, and posed a few questions to him about sleep. And we're going to show you a video of some of his provocative answers.
There seems to be limits to the resolution of our sleep. So if I ask you to picture a little German shepherd next to a great big elephant, it turns out that if I want to ask you to describe what dog hears, you have to zoom in on your mind because you don't have the resolution. So it might be that you just don't have enough resolution on your imaginal screen, on your mental image. It's too small. You can read large letters from the side, but try to close your eyes and picture the phrase, I'm doing fine, how are you? But you can't squeeze it into your mental image. Everybody seems to think that their dreams have great meaning, and that's what makes it so much fun to share. I think what's going on is that the brain, as opposed to the mind, is going through the events of our day. All of them trying to find associations other times in our life that might be going. So the brain is looking for ways to put things together. You want to try it and shift it towards, oh, that's really interesting. So when you wake up, the constant equivalent of that bias shift towards value is to say, wow, that was so beautiful. That's why your husband and my wife wakes up and says, oh, I have to learn what was a great future. But for them, and for me when I wake up, they seem incredibly meaningful.
So, Matt, I wanted to ask you, where do you stand now with dream research? I mean, there have been so many ideas over the years. That Freud with his ideas, and other people who say, oh, that's wrong, dreams are completely random and meaningless. I mean, what are dreams?
Well, I think that the kind of work that I do involves not the study of human dreams, but animal dreams. You might ask, animal dreams, what does that mean? How do you tell what an animal is dreaming? You can't wake them up and, give them a dream notebook or ask them what they dream, what they dream about. You can, but they won't really answer. You can ask, how could you actually know that the animal dreams? And the answer is to bypass the mechanisms of dream support, go directly to the source, and that is record the activity of brain cells while animals are awake and having experience, and then record the activity of the same cells while animals are sleeping, and ask, essentially, compare the patterns. Do the patterns that we see when animals are moving through the world experience the world in the world, do they reappear in some form during sleep? So it's a direct measure of those
All the fucking money y'all putting on the research of that bullshit, you got people dying of dirty water and not getting enough nutrition.
Genesis in
rats don't wake up in the morning and say, you would not believe
And
the
you
way
would
that
not and if they could, the way you would interpret that is that, well, that might be what you thought you dreamt about. But I want to know what you actually dreamt about. So you think that is going directly to the soul. So, putting very fine electrodes into the brain of animals, and in particular, focus on a part of the brain that's involved in memory. So you think of, I thought we were talking about dreams about perception or the experience. Just a little segue there. We talked about dreaming. We talked about dream sleep and the invention of REM and non-REM sleep. And there's this misconception that dream sleep is really associated with REM sleep.
The REM sleep is with the rapid eye movement.
And there's dreaming that goes on there, and I'll discuss a little bit about those kinds of dreams. But there is also dream activity, or life activity, during non-REM sleep. And that is the kind of sleep that would be expressed not just for mammals, but live and potentially every organism would have this kind of inactive non-REM sleep, which, again, I'll point out, there's
So you think flies dream too?
they could dream too. That dreaming is actually it's not the presence of a specific dream state. It may be something that actually emerged after the brain found some usefulness in becoming inactive. So what happens when you kind of shut down, no longer attend to the external world? The brain isn't going to turn off. The brain never turns off. If the brain is turned off, you're either under the influence of an anesthetic, because it's extension of post-brain activity, or you're in a coma. You are, in a sense, in a state that is unnatural.
So anesthesia is more like a coma than
Exactly. So your brain is very active. It's not shut off anyway. As you saw, some subjective descriptions, that there's something about that. Your brain is during sleep, very active. And it is very active and active in a very different way.
Maybe we could show some of Matt's experiments because they're just really amazing.
Right, so we'll jump into it.
Yeah.
Just a little prelude here. So the
Before we
idea is,
started, why don't you set it up for us?
so
So here we are.
So you can imagine if you were sitting right now in the lab, that this is exactly what we would see if we were sitting in the lab. On the right-hand side, you see a top-down video of what we call a maze. It's a long track, like a long hallway, about 10 meters long, actually. Long for this rat. It would take this rat, maybe a minute or two, actually, to fully go back and forth along this. On the left, what you're seeing is brain activity. Those little flashing lights, each time you see a little flash, that is the discharge of a single brain cell. And the little colored regions indicate different brain cells. So what you're seeing is in real time what in this case 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, even 9 individual brain cells are doing. And we'll do this again.
Could you move through that one again first? The same one?
What these brain cells are doing when an animal is running on this little track. Now, in this part of the brain, memory part of the brain, called the hippocampus, one striking thing that we see is that the pattern that you see on the left is going to depend upon exactly where the animal is on the right. In other words, it has correspondence between what the brain is doing and where the animal is when the animal is moving. So you can see that on the right, the little dots, and the brain activity of single discharge of single cells map onto the maze. So for instance, you see in the lower left, there are lots of blue points. That's because the blue cell doesn't move. That is, the blue cell tends to fire whenever the animal's in that part of the maze. On the other hand, you see the little cell down to the right.
And we have places, I should say, we have places too. So like I was walking through my house,
Exactly.
a place cell would fire as I went past the counter in my kitchen.
So you could say, well, if I'm in there, if I could record the activity of cells, memory cells of cells that fire in certain places, I could record them. I might be able to tell just by reading your mind, in a sense, where you are. Well, so if we go to the next video.
So the next video?
So So let's just try that.
So you read the mind of a rat?
So now it's going to be the same experiment, the same data. You see on the left, that's the same brain cells firing away. But on the right now, instead of showing you where the brain cells fire when the animal's on the maze, instead we're decoding guessing. We're guessing where the animal is just by looking at what's going on in the brain. Now, if you watch when the animal starts walking along the track, the little triangle there, that's our best guess as to where the animal is. And it does pretty well. The green circle is just there to kind of show you where the rat is. So our guess, the triangles, fall right on top of the circle, where the animal is. But notice when the animal stops, and maybe we can just rewind, like you can actually see here, animal stop. Animal moving, the brain tells you where the animal is. Animal stops, notice where the triangles go. They stop firing, or they stop reflecting where the animal is. You see them little flash? The triangles jump.
Well done, boss. The warehouse is filling up. You can sell stock at any time by accessing the network. Prices depend on negotiating position, though, so the more stock you have, the better the price you'll get. Holding is risky, so find a level you're comfortable with and sell there.
That are removed from the experience. The contract. Yeah, contract. Animal just, it's sitting briefly. And what happens in this part of the brain, this older part of the brain, this really important that includes these brain areas that are critical for memory, for emotion, for driving, what we think of as more cognitive features. Well, this part of the brain is shut off. On a dime. Just a fraction of a second, you can go from being actively engaged taking information from the outside world to going into what looks remarkably like. So memory and emotional areas include, while the middle parts of the brain, the middle cortex, the part of the brain that's important for keeping track of stress, monitoring the external world, making sure you get to where you're going. The part of the brain that has to deal with the outside world. That can accumulate in this other part of the brain. It's sleep. So we can think of this state of just thinking. We can call it daydreaming almost. Daydreaming, like if you're sitting there, it's not really interesting anymore. I could have, I wondered where did I park my car? Now your mind starts to wander. You start thinking about the memory parts of the brain that can now go back and retrieve past experience that are more interesting.
You've got that parking lot plane cell fire.
It's there. But now, the longer you remain in that state, the further out, the more you can actually think about removed from where you are right now. And if you stay in that state long, you say daydreaming, at some point you may actually start to drift off into sleep. You may make a transition from this quiet wakefulness into early non-REM sleep. So you think of non-REM sleep as emerging, in a sense, from what the brain naturally does when it doesn't have to, attend to the outside world. That might only last a fraction of a second. It might last 20 minutes. It might last 20 hours. It looks remarkably similar from the perspective of the brain involved in memory. So somehow, memory areas are trying to take advantage of this offline state. And if we can just switch to the third video, you can see this. This is going to be the same, basically it's the same
I'm ready to go on this end.
You can see the activity of these brain cells on the left. But now,
Oh, hi.
not running on the
What do you need?
It's not stopped on the maze.
Let me know what you want,
Little
and I'll
right.
tell the Pegasus
Now,
people to
circle
get it
that
ready.
you see there, that's actually a rat
Sure.
curled up.
It's on the way to the helipad.
Curled up posture. There's a rat. He's sleeping. He's off now in another part of the, room, sleeping. But memory cells, plate cells, are playing.
Got those details through? Okay, so the car is on the move. You're going to have to take it en route and bring it into the warehouse.
Short stretches like a little snippet, a fragment of this experience along the maze. But notice this one is, they're very fast. Looking about the memories during flight wakefulness and during non-REM sleep. Fast in time. They went about 10 times faster than the animal's actual experience. And past memories, visit these memories in its best form, and it's got a rewind button. It can go forward or backward. So you can ask, why would you want to visit memories in this peculiar form? Give it a time, assess it, and it's going forward and backward. Well, think about what's going on during these states. It's not just replaying memory, but trying to do something that we think is probably more fundamental and important to the animal, and that is to learn from experience. How would you learn from your experience? How would you go back to evaluate and compare different things with optical thinking of your beliefs? Compare different experiences, but to try to figure out the fundamental challenge that we as organisms and these brains face, and that is, how does this world work? What are the rules of the world? I'm going to have to tomorrow, I'm going to have to go out into that world, encounter new things that I haven't actually experienced, and I'm going to have to make good decisions. I'm going to have to produce adaptive behavior under novel circumstances, and that's what we can do. And robots, and they're great when you tell them exactly what to do and when they know exactly, what should be done. Give them anything new, and they simply can't make those critical judgments.
So do we need to program robots for the dream?
The question is, what would they do if they were dreaming? But clearly, the first step would be, let's go back, first form memories of experience where we keep track of a couple of things. One is, we keep track of the order of events as they occur. And that's very important. Order of events very important. You're a stoplight, light turns green, you go. All right, that's now, so in your dreams, you might have to sort of prevent, like the green cars move. That might be spent, that might be a longer sequence. Okay, the light turns green. Don't go to start halting. Because this is now you're doing something that you're doing. But now, that might be a simple rule that you have to learn. But one thing that's very important about these simple rules is one rule doesn't necessarily fit all circumstances. It might be dependent on the context. Context is just, it might be where you are, it might be the time of day. It's all these additional things that might change the nature of the rule. So, for instance, that rule that I gave you, light turns green, if you don't go, you start honking. Okay, that's the general rule, the kind of rule that, I may have learned growing up in a small town and going through Wisconsin. That rule applies. Now, I come to the door. The rules are a bit different. It's cars start honking, then the light turns green. And so I learned that, right? Different rules, different contexts. Now, the question is, well, how do you tell a robot how to do that? Well, the robot has to both have experiences in both. It has to be able to remember and be able to express the time ordering of events, figuring out how things actually happen. And then it has to do something that I think is unique. It's unique, perhaps, to organisms that have exploited sleep. And that's being able to figure out what the significance is of this context. Are there really different rules for different places? Should I combine these? Should I figure out one rule? Or are there really two rules?
Well, wait a minute. The thing is that you make dreams sound so practical and so reasonable. In my dreams, there are cactuses that turn into monsters. My dreams are crazy. So,
well, right. So this is, again, so we're back to this misconception.
In New York, cactuses do not turn into monsters.
And that's because what you're describing to me is almost certainly a dream that you experienced during REM. And in REM, now, so I didn't illustrate a rendering, but when we do the same experiment, measure brain activity during REM, it looks very different. And one of the key differences is there are memories that are replayed, but they're not compressed in time. They don't come in these small little fragments, but rather they're played out in real time, as though the animal is actually experiencing these events. That there are other that one can tell. You pointed out that when you're awake and when you're asleep, there's very different brain states, and you can tell when an animal is awake by just looking at the way the brain responds. There are these oscillations. certain rhythms that that correspond to being attentive, moving in the world. Other rhythms that correspond to being inattentive. Well, during REM, the rhythms are the rhythms that you would get if you were attentive, if you were moving through the world. During REM, as far as the brain is concerned, it's awake. It just doesn't have to be moving. And it's in the REM state where now you see this, the animals are dreaming about things as though they were actually happening. Now, another point about this, the non-REM. So we go back to the non-REM. We think of it as more primitive, perhaps, a process of taking memory and experience, trying to learn from it, maybe taking different experiences, comparing them, determining whether, maybe there's this one rule. Maybe it is, light green, better go, or cars will start honking. Maybe that's the rule. Everywhere I've gone, that's the rule. But now I come to New York, and somehow things are screwed up. Why are they honking? The light is not turned green yet. There's something wrong. Maybe it's a context difference. Maybe I have to figure out what it is about New York City that might require that I form a special rule, a context-dependent rule. And another thing about...
All right, we are good on that one. If you want to source another vehicle, come by the office.
Playing these things during sleep. That is, it is critically involved.
What the love to create, for what you create, for the world to be able to enjoy together, and it lasts forever. That's what thinking with the love of the unconditional feeling, which is the creator. The woman is everything with that portable, which you call pussy. I call it what it is. It's heaven, baby. That's when you come here to this live piece of heaven. Oh, but it's heaven, whatever you make it here on earth once you realize the truth is, and you gotta come out. All that's in front of you, you smell, you see, you sense with your five senses to be here. All of us here for you to enjoy. No bullshit.
Well, in those little fragments that last about a second, that's where
We'll put it under the bridge.
next fragment being expressed. Now, what's important about that is it says, A, that our experience goes in a little chunk. But think of memory as actually being a series of building blocks that our experience. I think of it like, memory is like a big bag of Lego blocks. One of our experiences. And experience out of a series of blocks. That's not like Lego blocks. I think they're connected, put together virtually anyway. Memory Lego blocks can only be matched with other blocks, or with precision blocks, different different between non-REM and REM sleep states, memory, and these associations. Studies have been looking at
There's
your
the boss.
tendency to connect unrelated things during when people are awakened during REM and non-REM. If you're awakened during REM sleep, you're far more likely to make novel associations, to connect things together. Let's just give it a simple word list. You're far more likely to connect things that were not really related during REM sleep than you are during non-REM. And non-REM is pretty much, the way I saw it is the way I remember it.
So this is a great opportunity to jump into Carlos's work. So you're looking at, you started your career, a lot of your research looking at REM sleep gone really wrong. Tell us about REM sleep behavior.
You thought about giving me some shares,
Well, as I've written in my blog for the World Science Festival and also in my books, my entire career practicing sleep medicine has been involved with extreme sleep, which are the parasomnias defined as the abnormal behavior and experiences that accompany sleep. And really, the parasomnias involve mixed states of sleep and wakefulness, which are very hazardous experiences because you're interacting with the actual environment with a lot of your brain still asleep. You're really setting yourself up to injuring yourself or anyone in your vicinity.
Okay, get the car and bring it to the warehouse. And remember, you're gonna get a body shop bill for any damage.
All our basic behavior, sexual behavior, eating behavior, aggression, violence, exploration, locomotion. Everything we can do in our waking lives can become unleashed in a very inappropriate way during our sleep. So on September 11th, 1982, when I started my practice of sleep medicine, the second patient I saw was a gentleman from Golden Valley, Minnesota named Donald Dorr, and Don complained of violent moving nightmares, which is a beautiful description of REM sleep behavior disorder. For several years, he was acting out
fuck y'all. Y'all won't get the daughter on something so y'all put some fucking medication in the bottle.
He was being confronted by unfamiliar people or even animals, and he had to respond by hitting back or becoming very aggressive to protect himself or his wife. He would also have sports dreams that were very aggressive. And in fact, the dream that he had that led to his coming to see me was a dream involving American football. He was a halfback carrying the ball from the line of scrimmage, and he lowered his shoulder to really anticipate an impact with a 280-pound lineman. And when he came to, he had actually lowered his shoulder into the dresser on the far side of his bedroom, and his head hit the wall, and he gashed himself and really needed a lot of stitches after all the blood that was spilled on the ground. He had no medical disorder, no psychiatric disorder. He had never been a sleepwalker earlier in his life, so this is the first type of parasomnia he had experienced. 5 nights later, I decided to go to the sleep lab to be with the sleep technologist when we monitored him in the sleep lab, and we saw something that was really unprecedented, that during rapid eye movement sleep, instead of displaying the usual mammalian paralysis, which protects people and other mammals from acting out their dreams, Don had lost that paralysis, and he had muscle tone, muscle twitching, and during each of his 4 REM sleep episodes, he actually was twitching, jerking around, throwing punches, kicking, talking, shouting, swearing, and when he entered the room after each of these events, he reported immediately a dream, and the action in the dream matched what we had seen. So it was a beautiful correspondence between the dream activity that he was acting out and the behavior that we observed. And that was really the beginning of our...
Merriweather, for all your private security needs. How can I help?
Now, fortunately...
Thank you. A helicopter has been dispatched to your area.
Trial and error to calm him down. And what was interesting is that the medication clonazepam, which is a potent benzodiazepine anticonvulsant, that medication not only stopped the behavior...
The cavalry has arrived!
...but restored normal dreams. And so that has really piqued the interest of dream researchers because RBD is a dream disorder almost as much as a behavior disorder of sleep. So in terms of conceptualizing dream generation, RBD is a really fertile area for research. And so Don, his bad dreams had gone away along with the bad behaviors, and he was a very happy camper to play golf in his retirement. Now, as we started seeing more and more of these patients, and they were being reported around the world, after a certain number of years, we realized that a lot of these men with REM behavior disorder developed Parkinson's disease. It's a classic neurologic disorder involving arresting tremor, muscle rigidity, slowed down movements called bradykinesia. anesthesia, and also poor stability of your posture. So there's really well-defined signs and symptoms of Parkinson's disease, which involve the depletion of dopamine cells in the brainstem area called the pons nigra. Now, we reported in the journal Neurology in 1996 that 38% of the men with REM behavior disorder eventually converted to Parkinson's disease and nothing else. Now we're up to 81% conversion from REM behavior disorder to Parkinson's disease, and centers from around the world are reporting that at least 2/3 of their patients convert. So really, this is actually an important development in neuroscience and neurology in terms of early intervention of people at risk for future Parkinson's disease. And so this has launched really a major international effort in terms of identifying REM sleep behavior disorder patients and trying to develop trials of what's called neuroprotective agents to delay, greatly, or even prevent the future emergence of Parkinson's disease. I should also point out that all this makes scientific sense because the cells in the brainstem related to Parkinson's disease interact very, very closely with the cells in the brain involved with muscle activity and the paralysis activity of REM sleep. So a lesion that interrupts the paralysis activity in REM sleep is a lesion that also produces Parkinson's disease. It's just a matter of exactly where that initial lesion is. You either get REM behavior disorder first and maybe a decade or two later Parkinson's disease, or you get Parkinson's disease first and later REM behavior disorder, or you get both together. So I think that was a major kind of scientific revelation about RBD. The good news for us is that we identified a therapy that helps control people hurting themselves in their lives and also restore normal dreams. I think we can show the image of Mel Abel, our really our most famous patient, who almost killed his wife. Now, Mel was just the nicest guy in the world. He had a dream one night. And this is how he slept for 5 years before he came to see us. This is a home remedy. He had a belt around his waist. He had a rope tethered around his belt attached to the bedpost. This is his way of preventing himself from flying out of bed and running into the wall. However, it did not prevent him from hurting his wife, Harriet. So one night he had a dream going back to his childhood days in Schooner, Wisconsin. He was with his grandfather. They were fishing cave and saw 2 deer running by them. And then the deer disappeared, and then suddenly a doe reappeared, and Mel smashed the doe with his pitchfork, and it stunned the deer that was floundering, and he decided to put that poor deer out of his misery. So in his dream, he grabbed the deer's chin in one hand and the top of the deer's head with the other, was about to snap its neck when Harriet, screaming, woke Mel up, and fortunately, he stopped the process of almost snapping Harriet's neck. Well, obviously he was extremely distressed, and so was Harriet by this. You know, it's clear. And in fact, Stern Magazine wrote an article in 1988 called "Hunting Deer Under the Blanket," and the New York Times Sunday Magazine in 2003 called it "The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Deer." So extremely dangerous and life-threatening behaviors can occur with RBD. The good news is that we can treat it.
And that car is securely warehoused. Come back and log on to SecureServe if you want to take a pass at another.
Early intervention to prevent the progression of Parkinson's disease, because the Parkinson's researchers for decades have been looking for the earliest marker of Parkinson's, and where RBD is it. So it's generated a tremendous amount of interest in the Parkinson's disease research community. And we now have an international REM behavior disorder research group, and it's truly international. 4 continents are involved in researchers, and so we're really trying to help the Parkinson's researchers besides understanding more about the brain during sleep. I think we can go to the video now, and I can show you some examples of RBD and other parasomnias. So this is from our sleep center. These men who are typically 50 years old and older. We don't know why this is a male phenomenon. Let's get to work, by the way. It's a big mystery. And this is what they do. And if you're sleeping by him, as this man's wife, you know who makes good license plates? You know, these men generally wake up feeling rested in the morning. The wives are wiped out. Completely wiped out. And the husband say, "Well, why are you so tired? Didn't you sleep well like me?" And they say, "What do you mean? You look like you did." So these men, they remember their dreams, but they don't know that they were acting them out, and they feel rested in the morning. So I'm going to show this again. So imagine if you're the wife, sleeping night after night, and these episodes occur 4 or 5 nights a week. So you treat the man with this clonazepam, and it's like giving the wife a sleeping pill as well, because she sleeps like a baby after his sleep is under control. But a lot of these patients come to us saying, we want to be believed, we want to be validated. People think we're exaggerating, and in fact they're not, and the video really is proof that there's no exaggeration here. So let's go to the next video. This is a culture-specific dream and act behavior in Japan. My colleague Nana Tachibana in Osaka. Apparently in Japan, once a couple has a child, the wife leaves the bedroom with the child, the husband sleeps alone, and red behavior disorder is detected basically by yelling and screaming. So this man had a dream. He set up a home video, and he's the samurai warrior, acting out a samurai warrior dream. Maybe we can show that one again, please. So here he is, and he only set up the video because he did not believe his wife. And he said, all right, let's set it up, and here's the proof. And in fact, he had to believe that his wife was telling the truth.
Now, how long will he be doing this? Will he go at this all night long?
Well, he killed the enemy, so he doesn't have to do it again, right?
What's the point?
He did it enough to disturb his wife. So let's shift gears to another parasomnia now. And this is sleepwalking. So this is from delta non-REM sleep, the deepest stage of sleep. The brain waves are the slowest. We should show this again if we could. So out of the deepest stage of sleep, when we have no clue about our environment, our locomotor system gets activated. Our legs start moving. We start standing and walking without any actual awareness of the environment. And you can see how dangerous it is. There she is, Sandy, in our sleep lab, about to fall out of the bed. Her legs are moving, but she has no idea why. It is so inappropriate. I should give an anecdote of a patient of mine.
It's all or nothing on this one. The work wasn't cheap. Get the car to the buyer clean. This should be a payday, people.
So after her divorce, her 9-year-old daughter slept in the same room as Jan. And so in preparation for sleep at night, the shades were drawn completely. And then the daughter was horrified. And 2 hours later, the mother, Jan, had raised the blinds halfway, looking out the window now across the street from their home in the cemetery. Jan was carrying on a conversation with the dead people in the cemetery, asking them, who's feeding you? What are they feeding you?
You're through to your garage. You, need me to bring you a ride? I'll get there as soon as I can.
Conversation with the dead people in the cemetery in her own mind. She asked her mother at the time, are you awake? And Jan, in a very glazed way, said, yes. Well, the daughter was so horrified by this that she never slept in the same room with the mother again. And in fact, didn't even mention this until she was a teenager. And my patient, of course, felt very, very badly. But that tells you how you don't have judgment. You don't have the monitor going in terms of your activity while you're sleepwalking. You're engaging yourself in sleepwalking behaviors with the environment that you don't have any awareness. You don't know it.
Yo, big out of the deleted areas. The area is about to get hot.
These are 2 patients with scary. This is very scary.
So are these nightmares?
They seem like nightmares. The first was a woman in her early 30s, second is a young girl, 5 years old, screaming at night very loudly. However, this occurs multiple times every single night. Night terrors, even in children who are really most likely to have night terrors, maybe 1 to 3 months. To have multiple episodes every night tells you something is going on, and these are nocturnal episodes, known as great mimickers. So you have screaming at night, crashing around. It could be night terrors, but it could be having multiple episodes every single night really tips the balance towards epileptic seizures. And in fact, the brainwave activity in both the woman and the young girl gave good evidence that there was epileptic activity going on, and they needed anticonvulsant medication rather than clonazepam, which is the benzodiazepine medication. We can go to the next video. Now, this is parasomnia. This is a 23-year-old woman who was sexually abused during childhood by an older sister. And if you look at her shoulders, and you show it again, her shoulders are down while there's a lot of pelvic movement. And this really reflects muscle memory going over decades. The sister pinning her down on her shoulders to prevent this poor young girl from running away while there's genital stimulation going on. And here we are talking 2 decades later, and she's recreating the scenario of the shoulders being pinned down and the pelvic stimulation. And this is really a very serious kind of women sexualized technique. the realm of parasomnias and psychiatric symptoms. Okay, you go to the messages page. This is a lady who engaged in sleep-related eating disorder, but please focus on her pinky, because her pinky does something very peculiar every time she takes a bite out of her brownie. First of all, the pinky is spread out to the other fingers, which is unusual in itself, but she seems to be nibbling at her pinky and doing funny things. When she saw this video, she said, I never eat that way when I'm awake. Never. So with each bite of the brownie, let's show it to her again if we could. We call this sleep state dependent behavior activation. So it's specific to the sleep state. And it really indicates this is not normal wakeful eating. Takes a bite of the brownie, and there goes the pinky. So you know this is not someone who's fully with it in a wakeful mental mode whatsoever. This comes out of intermediate non-REM sleep called stage 2 sleep. And this is typical of sleep-related eating disorder. Most patients have episodes every single night, and they gain weight and they feel very much out of sorts. It's called a spinal common tablet that could be accessed through syndrome, medications like sleeping pills, or it could just run in the family and be a variation of sleepwalking. But once it becomes well established, it usually occurs every single night, and with a lot of metabolic consequences, obesity consequences, and sleep disruption consequences. And this is one of the tougher parasomnias to treat, although about 2/3 of the patients respond very well to therapy. We have to know what's underlying or associated with condition is, like sleep apnea, respiratory syndrome, to identify the most effective therapy. But you already got a glimpse of how our basic instincts can be released inappropriately during sleep. Later on, I will describe a very dramatic case of a Canadian legal history involving sleepwalking and murder, and I will also describe sexonomy. But I think we need to move on.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Now, in terms of extreme sleep, we might have a sort of a little contest going here. You've got extreme human sleep, but I think Neil has got some extreme animal sleep that is pretty amazing. I mean, just in terms of, like, what to tell people about birds, particular birds that you've been starting to study in the wild.
Yeah, so recent technological advancements in microchip technology developed by a colleague at the University of Zurich, Alexei Vygotsky, has allowed us to actually record brain activity and sleep-related brain activity in animals in the wild. And this is important for two reasons. One, we did the first study of an animal sleeping in the wild. In this case, it was a sloth. And we found that sloths are not so slothful after all. People previously thought they slept 16 hours a day. Some people said 20 hours a day. But when we recorded their brain activity in the wild, we found they only slept 9.5 hours a day, over 6 hours less than captive sloths. So that finding in and of itself is important because it calls into question, the nature of sleep that we're recording in captivity or in the laboratory, at least in terms of how long.
There might not be too much to do in the lab, so yeah, we might have. We don't exactly know the reason for this difference, and I think it can even go the other way, that some animals might be particularly fearful in the laboratory, less than they do in the wild. But it could be differences, and they don't have to forage, they don't have
I don't have none of the shit they normally have, bitch. We put them in prison.
So I think it can go in each direction. But to study things in the wild, I mean, you have to take all this equipment that you needed to
Don't make it seem like it's inconveniencing them. You already inconveniencing the fucking animal.
Yeah, it is tricky. Our laboratory becomes a tent on a remote island or the back of a pickup truck in the rainforest in Panama. But the birds that we're really interested in studying now do some extraordinary things. There are several species that you'll see in this image that engage in periods of continuous activity lasting days, weeks, months, maybe even longer. There's a bird in the upper left corner, the bar-tailed godwit, it's been shown that they fly non-stop for 8 days from Alaska to New Zealand, where they spend the winter.
And we actually have a map, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
we did it. That one's going on the balance sheet for next quarter.
This is showing a GPS track. They put a device on these birds that could tell exactly where they were. And you can see Alaska
It's like you
up
want to
on
do
the
fucking
top of the
people.
globe, and they start there and they fly all the way to New Zealand without stopping at all. And then they make comparable long flights on the way back, going via China in this case. So this raises the question, well, how do they get their sleep? In every other animal, sleep seems to be a daily phenomenon. It's very important, as we all know, and as I know, quite jet lagged today.
What happens if you try to keep a bird awake for a long time? Does that keep you alone and you sleep? I mean,
Yeah, and we've actually recently shown with pigeons that if you take away just their normal daytime napping, that they become very sleepy and
Wow,
let them
y'all fucking
sleep,
with all the
record the brain
species.
activity.
You ain't got no black people, you brown people out there fucking with this shit.
Just like they do in humans.
Why y'all even
And also,
fucking with nature
we've
crap?
shown that
Man,
if
ain't
you
some bullshit.
stimulate one part of the brain, in this case,
Y'all fucking
as
pissed.
birds watch David Attenborough's The Life of Birds. On TV, with just one eye.
oh, that's not fair.
We just covered one eye and showed them this show. And the part of the brain connected to that eye that watched the TV slept much more deeply. So just like I had mentioned in humans, the sleep seems to be regulated in the bird brain dependent on how different regions were used. So sleep is clearly important for birds. They need to recover, and their brain responds the same way ours does. But then if we can go back to, in addition to this bird, the bar-tailed godwit, there are other birds that engage in long flights. The frigate bird on the top right, they go to sea for several days, lasting periods up to 12 days. But surprisingly, for a seabird, frigate birds cannot land on the water. If they do, they get wet and they can't take off and they drown. That's it. And so they go out to sea foraging for days or weeks and can't sit on the water. So then again, the question is, do they sleep? They're also, unlike our swifts here, the European swift is renowned for engaging in long flights. It's thought that other than the time when they're actually taking care of the nestlings, that these swifts are flying continuously. It's even been shown they put that on their first night out, the first night they leave the nest, first time they've ever flown.
Good to see you, boss.
They actually go up into the sky and spend the night soaring up in the night sky with all the adult birds. And it's thought that from that point on, they may not land until they nest 2 or 3 years later. And so, when do they sleep? And there's also a bird, ironically, called the wide-awake tern. It's ironic because it's called that because its call sounds like it's saying, wide awake, wide awake. It's not because scientists have actually shown that it's wide awake, but maybe it's telling us something.
These birds, they give you lots of clues.
They're like the frigate birds. They go out to sea, but they can't sit on the water. They'll get wet and drown. So again, when do they sleep? And finally, a bird that I'm flying to Alaska to study tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. is the one on the lower left, the pectoral sandpiper. And this bird doesn't engage in long, non-stop flights, but we have some reason to believe that they engage in periods of constant activity during the breeding season. Colleagues at our institute have shown that they're active for 2 to 3 weeks continuously, around the clock, 24/7. And in this case, they seem to be doing it to get mates. The male shown here, he stays awake and
Okay, the owner of this car is willing to give it to anyone who can beat his point-to-point personal best. Get out there, beat it. The car is ours.
They seem to sleep like other birds for several hours a night. So we suspect that they're not sleeping, but we want to confirm this by recording their brain activity.
So you're going to be, you've developed equipment where you can do this, where you can actually...
Yeah, working with colleagues that developed the microchip technology, we can record their brain activity. And we've actually tested it on these birds a couple of years ago. So that it's all ready to go, and we just need to collect the data. I think, you know, on the one hand, if some of these birds are sleeping in flight, that's fascinating, and maybe they're sleeping with one half of the brain at a time. But it's these birds that might also engage in extended periods of not sleeping that might be the really exciting ones. Because, again, it would just challenge what we know and think about sleep in general as being so important. And it would raise the question, well, how are they doing it? What is going on in their brains that allow them to suspend sleep for this long period of time? And if we can learn how they're doing this, that might tell us something about the purpose of sleep in general. So we're not just studying sleep because they're cool and interesting animals, but they might actually tell us something important about what sleep is doing for our brains.
So we have a little time left, so Carl and I talked about murder and sex. And we cannot let you leave before you...
People ask me what I do for a living. I said, well, I deal with out-of-control eating, sex, and aggression. I get paid for it, and I use video, and I don't get arrested for it either, you know.
That's where we can get it.
So we can show the image of Lieutenant Parks. Lieutenant James Parks, age 24, 6 foot 5 inches tall, 280 pounds. The night of May 24th, 1987, he was sitting in front of his TV in the living room and fallen asleep, woke up, put on his shoes, grabbed Lieutenant Parks' keys, left the house, the front door, it was wide open, got in his car, left, in the garage door was open, drove to Toronto 23 kilometers, which is 14 miles, went to the home of his in-laws, Barbara Woods, the Donald Woods, and in the garage, took out his firearm, went upstairs to their bedroom, nearly strangled his father-in-law, Donald Wood, so he went to his mother-in-law, Barbara Wood, smashed her with firearm, he had brain bleed, and he stabbed her 6 times with a kitchen knife, and he stabbed the heart, killed her. Then went before outside the door of the store, so his teenage daughter, they reported later that he was grunting and very loud when like an animal. And he was terrified, but then he stopped grunting, started to did not enter the room. He left the home, walked into a police station at 2:45 in the morning and said, I think I killed somebody. I don't know what happened. I saw the face of Barbara Woods, looked very sad, and I don't know what happened. I think I did something terrible. And he made a very important observation. He had cut the tendons from all of his reflection. The process of stabbing his mother-in-law and his father-in-law with a kitchen knife must have slipped his fingers. He cut the reflection tendon. He showed no pain. He felt no pain. And in the subsequent trial, that was very important evidence that he could not listen, not listen. If people that are awake will have incredible pain after fighting basically 10 seconds of pain. Now, unexpected is the trial that began a year later. This makes Canadian legal history the first time sleepwalking offense was successfully used in a murder case. Now, people will say, how can you see? Well, the evidence is really compelling. Now, I can use the 1,737-page first transcript, which I analyzed in my book, Paradox Walk. And basically, I think the jury got it right. First of all, he had a sleepwalking. In the age of 11, his mother taught him that he was about to leave the store window of where he's going. He's always known to be a very, very sleepy. He also had an incredible family sleepwalking. 21st degree and second degree family relatives had parasomnia. Unbelievable. It's public support in the parasomnia sleepwalking. There's property and relatives. Several family issues,
get the personal history. And on top of that, he has three major specific factors for vulnerability to sleepwalking. The first factor is that he has been sleep deprived 48 hours, which is a known risk factor for sleepwalking. Second of all, he has major physical stress. He plays rugby on a very hot and humid afternoon in Toronto. He's incredibly out of shape. So that's what we call physical stress. And third, he has emotional stress. He's been a gambler and gotten into major debt, and that was really weighing on him and really having an adverse effect on their marriage. Also, in the kind of richest school of his sleepwalking mind, the next day, he had organized a barbecue at his in-laws' house. So in the sleepwalking mind, he was driving his in-laws. He just happened to do it maybe 12 hours too soon in the wrong state of mind, in other words, sleepwalking mind. How the violence and the murder entered in, we don't know. But basically, he had no motivation to kill his in-laws. In fact, when he first met his future wife's parents, he was a teenage runaway, and he convinced her to go back to her parents. So his in-laws were immensely appreciative of him because he helped rescue their runaway daughter, told her to go back to her parents, eventually married him, and they considered him like a son. In fact, Barbara Woods calls him my gentle giant. And in fact, murder. So there's really no reason at all to motive the murder. He's been a sleepwalker, he has the risk factors for that night, and he has a family history. And for that reason, the jury, I think, got it right by acquitting him. The prosecution...
Can't get them all, can you, boss? Come back and log on to SecureServe if you want to go for another car.
And unfortunately, I've heard that down the road, especially if they get divorced, I think it's just too much commitment. Your wife realizes he killed my mother, no one killed my father. Although apparently he did well with Clonazepam, therapy with sleepwalking, but I think this is an extreme example of sleepwalking that is unintentional behavior, tragic consequences. And obviously sleepwalkers should avoid those big factors, deprivation, let me conclude my section by talking about sexopia. Now, in relation to RBD, behavior disorder, I think Sigmund Freud would have been very disappointed. He would have said, my God, what a great opportunity for sexual activity. Dreaming in REM sleep, you don't have the paralysis, so let the game begin. The reality is, there is no sexual acting out with REM behavior disorder. In fact, it's a bias against sexual dreams. It's a bias for aggressive dreams, locomotion dreams, sports dreams, but it's a bias against sexual dreams. This has been demonstrated in a very nice controlled study in Italy. But with sexopia actually is done during non-REM sleep, when there is no dream. And it's really something, the whole gamut of sexuality in terms of sex, talking, masturbation, sexual assault, really rape, including legal cases involving children and adults. And it appears to be a male-dominant disorder, although we really don't know for sure. It's just that the women complain about the men engaging in sexopia, and they're the ones who come for help. The men generally don't complain about their partners. And this is really a sociological question, I think, much more than a medical question. And, years ago, the Kinsey report kind of had a golden opportunity, but did not address any issue of sexual behavior. But insomnia, also known as sleep sex, can really be associated either with a long history of sleepwalking, night terrors, stimulated eating. In other words, it's something that is long history of non-rapid-eye insomnia. Or it's associated with sleep apnea. People snore. It's called snorgasm, by the way. So we believe in really precise terminology. We have sex apnea and snorgasm, but you have snoring and sexual behavior, and for the bed partner, snoring is just as concerning as the sexual behavior. My God, having sex with your partner snoring, what is going on here? But it really reflects what we call a peaceful arousal. Or you have a partial awakening, again, a mixed state of sleep and wakefulness during inappropriate behavior. During this mixed state, induced by the sleep apnea, you can engage in aggressive behavior or sexual behavior. The typical scenario for sexopnia is either a long history of other parasomnias or a relatively recent history of sexopnia and sleep apnea. This is like with most of the parasomnias, so I think sexopnia, very dramatic parasomnia, is the whole realm of other parasomnias, medicine, diagnosis, affected most of the me as a physician is the most gratifying part. Besides all the discoveries is treating patients, making them happy, making the bed partners happy, allowing them to live through the big time without any adverse consequences. It's not bad.
So, in order to wrap things up, let's kind of look to the future. How about each of you take a minute or two to just tell me what question you want to know the answer to about space? What is the burning question that you really love to know? So, can I sleep on it?
I don't know. We talked about REM sleep and we focused on the brainwave patterns and what characterizes them. But there are other aspects of REM sleep that occur again both in mammals and in birds that don't get much attention. One of them is for some unclear reason during REM sleep we stop thermoregulating. Birds who are hot while they're sleeping will pant during non-REM sleep, but when they enter REM sleep, they stop. Similar things happen in mammals. So what is the purpose of this aspect of REM sleep? Because it's not getting much attention.
Well, I think the fundamental question is the question of how do we learn? How do we build these models of the world? How do we
So you see sleeping as learning.
Sleeping is learning. In fact, just listening to these other presentations that focus on behaviors that can occur during certain kinds of dream sleep, non-REM sleep. I was making the connection between quiet wakefulness and sort of thinking and non-REM dreaming, and I realized it was important to point out that there's this kind of connection that we've made between sleeping, in particular non-REM sleep, and inactivity. That during thinking, when you're sitting and thinking, it turns out even in animals, they can think perfectly well when they're sitting quietly doing nothing, or engaged in automatic behaviors that don't require attention. It includes eating, having sex. Turns out their minds can wander when they have sex as well. So it's that there's this state that involves thinking, like still engage in automatic behavior. That can include things like driving. There are systems in the brain that are built to take over automatic behavior. If you're not doing that, we can be thinking about other things. Non-REM sleep may carry all of the same baggage along with it, the ability to do things while you are thinking about other things. So it's this connection between thinking, dreaming, and learning. And so the question, a learning question I have is it possible to show that what we dream influences what we do, not the other way around, which is the way we kind of think about it. We dream about what we remember. Well, is it possible that what we dream about actually changes how we learn, how we behave? And there's an interesting connection between memory, dreams that may involve in memory, and imagination, our ability to remember the past. Speaking of dreams, in a way, I don't know what kind of future you imagine with your trace cacti, but you could think dreams in a way, they are a process of imagining a world and perhaps anticipating a world in which we are going to have hereafter. And so the connection between not just memory, not just learning, but creativity, imagination, all of these things define what we are as uniquely sentient, intelligent beings. So it's really embedded in life that it's doing something about what makes us. I would echo what Matt was talking about, that I'm very curious about all the benefits of sleep on our waking lives. Because we know that disturbed sleep has adverse effects on our waking lives. So I'm really curious about the whole range, the whole panorama of the benefits of good sleep on our waking lives. We can enhance it, quite honestly. And if in fact there are creatures out there that don't really need sleep, what is it about their wakefulness that is so intrinsically good for them that they don't need sleep? So I think that's an open
question as well. Let's give a hand to our panelists and wish them a good night's sleep.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Bennett here. Let's look at how powerful your mind is. Let's compare your mind to the most sophisticated man-made device ever created, the computer. The average computer can hold about 250,000 pictures, 20,000 songs, and hundreds of full-length videos. Nowadays on something the size of my finger. Crazy. But let's compare it to your mind. Your mind can perform an estimated 10 quadrillion operations per second without you even knowing it. Wild. Ask yourself right now, what's making your blood flow throughout your veins with the perfect amount of pressure to keep you alive? What's making your heart beat right now? Are you consciously commanding your heart to beat right now? No. What's maintaining your body core temperature to the perfect degree to keep you alive? What's doing the 6 trillion things to your 60 trillion cells every single second? It's something called your subconscious mind. This is the powerhouse to who you are. Your cat has it, even your puppy has it. But of all the things that your subconscious mind can do, it can't do one thing. And this thing can help you attract good things into your life, or can absolutely demolish your health. What is that one thing it can't do? It can't distinguish between a real event and something you merely think about. Sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? What happens when you have a nightmare? You wake up, your heart is pounding, you're sweating, and you're anxious beyond words.
I don't have
The nightmare existed in your mind. You weren't in any real danger at all. But your mind didn't know that. You physiologically reacted as if the nightmare was actually taking place in reality. There was a study conducted where a doctor hooked up an elite athlete, a professional skier, to a device that measured the athlete's muscle fibers. He told the skier to merely think about skiing down the hill without moving a muscle. The act of thinking about skiing down the hill actually made the same muscle fibers that would have actually fired off if he were to be actually skiing fire off from thoughts. This has been demonstrated time after time with the placebo effect. Group A suffering from a particular illness gets prescribed a pharmaceutical FDA-approved drug specifically designed to treat that illness. Group B suffering from the same illness gets a sugar pill, thinking it's real medication. Both groups get cured. In fact, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study involving 2 groups suffering from the same degenerative knee disorder. Group A had a surgery designed to scope out the knee and relieve the symptoms of the disorder. Group B, with the permission of the family, had a fake surgery. A fake surgery. A placebo surgery. Thinking that they had a real surgery. Only 3 small incisions were made in the kneecap, but no real surgery was performed. Both groups reported that the surgery was a success. In fact, researchers are suggesting that a minimum of 1/3 of all medical treatment, including surgery, is due to the belief that the treatment is going to work. The placebo effect. Most people don't realize that there is also something called the nocebo effect. It's practically the opposite of the placebo effect. The mind, instead of curing illness, contributes to illness. That's what a hypochondriac is. Their belief that they're going to develop a disease actually causes them to experience the symptoms of it. Whatever belief you hold in your subconscious mind will become your reality. Bottom line. That's how hypnosis works. The hypnotist implants the idea in the back of their subject's mind, and the subject experiences whatever they hold there. If they hold the belief that there's a spider on their arm, their eyes actually see a spider on their arm. An amazing demonstration occurs when the hypnotist walks towards his subject with his finger extended. He tells the subject that his finger is hot and burning. The hypnotist slowly touches the subject on their arm, and a blister actually forms in the exact place that the finger touched. Now, this is crucial to understand in all healing. Free will, as we understand it, is practically an illusion. In fact, 2 to 4% of the time, you decide what you want to do. You actually make the decision. 96 to 98% of the time, you don't. You're on autopilot. Your subconscious mind controls your decisions 96 to 98% of the time. Don't believe me? Do you like ice cream? If you do, snap your fingers and stop liking it. Do you enjoy watching sports? Snap your fingers and stop enjoying it. You can't. 96 to 98% of the time, everything we crave, desire, and act upon comes from what we hold predominantly in the back of our subconscious minds. Whatever we hold predominantly in the back of our subconscious minds, we are attracted to in life. What happens when you buy a new car? It's the only car you see on the road for the next 2.5 weeks. You saw those cars before you bought your car, but why didn't they stand out to you? Because you didn't own that car yourself. You weren't thinking about it yourself. What you hold in your mind, you're attracted to in life. That's how subliminal ads work so effectively. They work so effectively that they are banned in over 10 countries as a way to advertise. So if what you hold in the back of your subconscious mind shapes your reality, what shapes your subconscious mind? Practically everything that you're exposed to, everything that you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel is shaping your subconscious mind. Let's look at some specifics. Television. Here's a scary stat. By the time a child finishes elementary school, that child has witnessed an estimated 8,000 simulated murders on TV.
No.
All of these extremely graphic scenes are sinking back into their minds. And don't be tricked by Hollywood or cartoons. In the most important developmental years, when a child should be taught compassion and understanding, extremely intelligent minds behind the creation of perceived harmless children's cartoons are sinking violence into the back of their minds. Don't be fooled. What are you listening to on the radio? Every single word or thought you hold in your mind has a particular vibrational frequency. Negative words or intentions have slower vibrational frequencies, and positive words have higher vibrational frequencies. This is a song by Lady Gaga called Bad Romance. Some of the lyrics are, I want your drama, I want your ugly, I want your disease, I want a bad, bad romance. Our thoughts create us. We have to be extremely careful with what we are feeding our minds. Music can be beautiful and beneficial, but it can also have a negative impact on your health. Choose wisely. When I was growing up, the most violence we had on video games was Mario and Luigi jumping over turtles' heads. This is what our youth are playing today. These gruesome, extremely graphic images are sinking into the backs of their subconscious minds, weakening their immune systems and having astronomical, gradual negative effects on their health. Nobody's saying that these games are going to cause them to pick up a gun and go shoot somebody, but these games are affecting their health. There is zero doubt about that. What happens when you gossip? In order for you to gossip, you have to hold a negative memory and negative thought inside of your mind. You not only think about that negative memory,
Jet Fighter, how you pronounce your name? You're a negative dude, man. You're a real negative dude, bro.
Cortisol,
because you could have came in and asked me to help you do something. You ain't have to come in there and kill me and blow my car up. You ain't have to do that, man.
And even promotes weight gain. All from gossiping, all from your thinking. You can't gossip without hurting yourself. Remember that. But of everything you can expose yourself to, there is nothing more important than the thoughts you hold in your mind. We have on average 60,000 thoughts a day. And the reality is Not only are most of these thoughts the same thoughts we had yesterday, but they are negative thoughts, either dwelling on something bad in the past or fearing something that could potentially happen in the future. The second we have these negative thoughts, the second we release cortisol, the stress hormone, into our blood, our thoughts create us. Most people believe that
I'm already
situations
hurt,
cause
and that's real.
anxiety, stress,
I
or
already
cause them
died,
to be
and that's
depressed.
real.
The
I know
reality
how to
is
live
this:
now, and
there
that's
is
real.
absolutely no
And all you can do
situation
is
in the
live with
entire
knowing what the
universe
truth is.
that can cause someone
It is
to
what it
experience
is.
anxiety. None.
Truth is the
It's
truth.
your psychological reaction
The
to the
so lies
situation
can't hold
that can cause you to experience anxiety. Not the situation itself. This is crucial to understand. Why is it that when one person skydives, their brain releases endorphins, the good feeling chemical, into their blood, while releasing cortisol into another? It's the same situation. How could the company of one person cause excitement in one person while making another person stressed? It's because it's never the situation that causes anyone to experience anxiety, but their reaction to it. You create your anxiety, not a situation. When you truly, fundamentally understand this truth, that's when you realize that you control your anxiety, not the situation. It's one of the most liberating feelings you can ever experience.
Yes, it is.
If you create it, you can take it away. Your thoughts control your life. You are the creator of your everything. Choose your thoughts wisely. God bless.
You say God bless. Okay. You ended that one off, right? Like everybody else do. God bless.
Welcome to the Mastermind Series, where every month we learn from the wisdom of leading authors, trainers, and innovators. This is your host, Andrew Barber Starkey, and this month I'm talking to an expert, indeed a pioneer in the field of mind power.
Oh, okay.
This man was born in Toronto. In 1975, he moved to the West Coast and withdrew to the wooded seclusion of British Columbia wilderness to spend 3 years in intensive study and contemplation about the inner workings of the human mind. By applying his own observations and insights to the scientific and spiritual sources of the time, he created the first straightforward and successful program for helping people develop their own mind power. In 1978, he began traveling and teaching people the principles he had formulated. And by 1980, the phenomenal success of his speaking tour had grown to encompass the globe. Since then, he has taught and lectured to literally hundreds of thousands of people. He has also authored 4 books, the best known being Mind Power into the 21st Century, which has sold over 500,000 copies and hit the bestseller list in 12 countries. His other books include A Vision of Power and Glory, Money, Success, and You, and its latest, The Practice of Happiness. It's a great honor to have
let me first of all start off by just for a minute or two explaining the whole premise behind mind powers and why and how mind powers work.
Now, once again, I'm getting kicked off of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for doing the same bullshit that this dude is doing right now. I'm getting muted and interrupted for doing the same bullshit this dude doing right now.
The clothes that you're wearing are
He's on here telling what he feels to know, on how he feels to know what he's saying, what he feels to know, and however he feels to know this. But his shit is not waving, his shit is not muted like my shit. What the fuck going on? So, like I said again, this is some real fucking bullshit when it comes to this cracker, which I'm not being racist. This is what y'all eat when y'all eating Jesus. This cracker is being able to explain everything that he feels across here that without no fucking interruptions. So how fair is this to me? So yeah, y'all can mute this shit again if y'all want to, but like I said, y'all let me see exactly what's real and what's not.
Acts as a tuning fork. It begins vibrating. and it attracts to you the people, the circumstances, the events, the synchronicity that matches the images that you have within. That you have a very real power to influence and direct the things that happen to you working with your thoughts. Now, one of the beautiful things about the subconscious mind as well is that the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So that you can program and imprint into your subconscious anything that you choose. There was a very famous experiment done in one of the large American universities where they took a group of college students and they divided them into 3 separate groups, and they tested them for skill at throwing the basketball at the basket. And then they recorded their scores, and what they did is they had the first group come in to the gym every day for a half hour and practice throwing the ball at the basket. The second group engaged in no practice, and the third group engaged in a very different practice. What they did is they had them come into the gym, just mentally imagine that they're throwing the ball, and mentally imagine that they're scoring, doing it only in their mind. And then after a month, they brought them back and they tested them again. And what they found is that the first group that practiced every day for real showed an over 25% improvement in their score, which you'd expect as the practice. The second group, which did no practice, showed no improvement, and again, no surprise.
All they're trying to do is see who got
the third group, which practiced only in their mind, which never once touched the ball,
all right, this car is doing laps around a closed circuit. Stop the car, take it, bring it to the warehouse. I wouldn't expect resistance.
Now, how is this possible? Simple. By practicing in their mind over and over and over again, that took an imprint into the subconscious. So when it came time to throw the ball, their subconscious was imprinted with the fact that they were good at throwing the ball. And it showed up, of course,
shooting the ball, man. Keep saying throwing the ball.
Now, the implications of this go far beyond just sports training. We can use this for finances. We can use this for relationships. We can use this in our career. We can use this to cure ourselves of our illness. There is no area of your life working with mind power techniques such as visualization, such as seeding, such as affirmations, such as acknowledging, such as recreating new beliefs in your mind. There is a whole number of techniques that the mind power student practices, and when you do that, what happens is you begin to take control of your life. That your thoughts are the most incredibly powerful source of nourishment, source of a dynamic abundance that we have in our life, and nobody teaches us how to think. We're taught, be positive, do the best you can.
You're through to your garage.
Well,
you need me to bring you a ride?
Being a positive
it's coming at you.
Is a very, very simplistic, basic level of mind powers. You can do a lot more than be positive. You can start to work with this dynamic, powerful forces that you have in a very, very powerful way. And that's what I teach, and that's what people prosper with.
Basically, I think when I read the book, it said powers of the mind are governed by laws which can be easily understood by anybody.
Exactly. There's nothing too difficult about this. Once you awaken, and it is a real awakening. I mean, I know for myself when I first realized that, my God, my thoughts influence my reality. Not by being positive. I have to re-emphasize this point. People sometimes mistake mind powers for positive thinking. It's not just simply being positive. It's actually using techniques to imprint into your subconscious. That's the key. You want these beliefs, you want these images, not just on a conscious level. That's positive thinking. You want it on a subconscious level. And once it takes on a subconscious level, then you are attracting those things to you. And there is no greater turning point in a person's life to discover that I have personal power, that I am the master of my destiny, and all it takes is maybe 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day would transform your life if you're willing to practice it on a regular basis.
And if you're practicing the right technique.
Yes, and I might also mention that this can work equally as well against you. Your thoughts can bring sickness, they can keep you in poverty, they can keep you from succeeding at your goals. In fact, that's one of the great tragedies of our day, is that most people are not getting ahead because, number one, they're working too hard. I'm not a big believer in hard work. I know I've done talks sometimes to corporations, and sales managers will be looking on in horror as I'm saying that maybe your problem is you're working too hard. You should never work too hard. You should always work smart, not hard. It has nothing to do with hard work. It has to do with your consciousness. It has to do with your beliefs. It has to do with your thoughts. That is what is going to create your reality.
What's the downside of overwork? I know there is.
Well, I think there's a lot of downsides to overwork. Number one, I don't think it's a lot of fun. And I'm distrustful of any life that is not joyful. And when I say joyful, it doesn't mean that you're, suddenly going around in ecstasy every moment of every day. But I mean, if you're working these long hours under all kinds of stress, what kind of quality of life is that? I mean, you have to insist that your life has joy and fun in it. So I think the downside of too much work is, number one, it doesn't give you quality life. And the second downside of it is that when you're working too hard, you're not going to get good quality ideas. And one of the things I teach is how to tap into your intuition and get ideas from your subconscious mind. The intuition is one of the vehicles that you use to tap into your subconscious, and there are hundreds of absolutely fabulous, great ideas to help you make money, to help you succeed, to help you achieve your goal that you would never ever find simply by running in your conscious mind the same old information. You have to go into your subconscious and get a whole breadth of new life in your day-to-day life. And when you do that, you suddenly, all these insights and brilliant ideas start sparking. So this doesn't happen when you're working too hard. And sometimes I say to people that, you're working so hard you probably won't be successful. And they sort of look at me all stunned like, but it's absolutely true. You must give yourself good quality time and honor yourself.
It's interesting because one of the things that we use in the Success Track coaching program is a time system that involves people taking freedom days. And a freedom day is a day where you do absolutely no work in any way, shape, or form.
Very important.
And often people say, but I love my work so much, I don't want to take a freedom day. And I think that you're really reinforcing that the benefit of that is when you get away from work and let go, it actually gives the creativity and the intuition a time to go deep into your subconscious and really get in touch with some of the abundance of ideas and thoughts that are down there.
Yeah, well, it was Albert Einstein who said, why do I always get my best ideas in the shower? I mean, it's just like, just even that little time away, and I'm a big believer in having time where you just reflect and think and get away from things.
Well, and if we're still talking about the downsides of overwork, you mentioned earlier on that really our lives, our minds are resonating at a certain frequency. We're going to attract things that are at the same frequency. And if we're in that frantic, stressful place of overwork, it's not going to really attract the right quality things that we want anyway.
Absolutely, and it's also showing somewhat of a lack of self-respect for yourself and a lack of self-image in a way. I mean, it's almost like you're saying to yourself that I have to work 16 hours a day in order to be successful. Well, how come? I mean, you are a brilliant human being. There are thousands of opportunities. There are staggering opportunities to make money out of there. There are staggering opportunities to be successful out there. I mean, why do we have this erroneous belief that I have to work constantly in order to be successful? Now, you will find, and I've made, when I wrote my...
And that car is securely warehoused. Come back and log on to SecureServe if you want to take a pass at another.
This fragile reel of tape contains the voice of one of the most feared men in history. Everyone knows his name. This is a fragment of the only existing tape recording of Adolf Hitler speaking privately, not as a screaming actor on the world stage, but as a human being, using the full power of his personality, trying to bend others to his will. This recording...
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some wheels?
...to the mind and madness of one of history's most terrifying figures.
It's on the way. I'll get back to it then.
This is the Adolf Hitler we think we know. But this is just a caricature. Images culled from the Nazi propaganda machine. But there was another hidden Adolf Hitler. A soft-spoken, almost charming conversationalist. During his reign of terror, Hitler let his guard down only once. When his voice was captured not on stage, but behind closed doors.
When I heard the tape for the first time, it became much more clear to me why other politicians had, for some time at least, believed into Hitler's words.
This tape was recorded in a private train car in Finland on June 4, 1942. The man to whom Hitler was speaking was Marshal Carl Gustav Mannerheim, Commander-in-Chief of the Finnish Armed Forces.
The Finnish recording is the only one of its kind. I think it is a key to understand the way how Hitler dealt with his partners, his style, the way he tries to seduce Mannerheim, to convince him.
Gustav Mannerheim is still revered in Finland. He led Finland in their fight for independence from Russia in 1917. And during the Second World War, Mannerheim fought against two of the 20th century's most lethal regimes. As a token of a nation's continuing esteem, his personal train has been preserved as a museum. Inside a private room in this car, radio technician Tor Demain recorded over 11 minutes of Hitler speaking privately with Mannerheim. Today, this extraordinary recording lies hidden in the sound archives of the Finnish National Broadcasting Company in Helsinki. Within this archive, 300,000 tapes are stored, but this tape
is like no other. I have said always that this tape is the most valuable tape in our archive because it is the only tape in the world where Hitler speaks freely.
Adolf Hitler was defined by his public image, and that image was carefully manufactured by the Nazis. The Nazis turned propaganda into a fine art and a deadly weapon. A terrifying but persuasive lie that millions believed. The leading player in all of this was Adolf Hitler. Hitler's image was complex. He needed the Germans to believe in him, to love him, and to fear him. He accumulated absolute power by developing a pseudo-religious mystical cult of personality.
The Schauspiel, Hitler could act well enough, his acting style and so, but he was put there by the masses. If he had spoken like a priest, no one would have listened.
Hitler adapted his image to each situation. Here, addressing Parliament, he spoke diplomatically, playing the intelligent statesman. Here, with industrialists, he spoke and dressed like a businessman. When Hitler addressed Nazi party meetings, playing the rabble-rouser, his tone is unmistakably violent.
Man 3 or 4
The pictures you can see made of Hitler in the papers and books are censored. For instance, you will never see Hitler with his hands in his pockets.
Hitler with his hands in his pockets might appear relaxed, and that was precisely the image he did not want to project. Hitler's public image wasn't only built up by the propaganda machine, it was also refined and distilled, stripped down to the bare essentials.
In Germany there was a strict censorship, especially with everything dealing with the Führer, the leader himself. Photographs as well as interviews were strictly controlled.
Hitler's public image presented him as a superman, endowed with godlike powers. Here in the film Triumph of the Will, the message is clear. Hitler is descending from the heavens like a deity. This deity had no time for friendship or family, no time to even drink alcohol. He devoted his life to the power and resurgent glory of the new Germany. Throughout all the propaganda, Hitler's image is that of a solitary man standing in the eye of a hurricane of hate that he himself had created. He was a consummate actor, always aware that the eyes of a mass audience were upon him. And in front of that audience, he could be whoever he wanted to be. Today, his speeches have been excerpted and edited in ways that obliterate their original meaning. But when Hitler is allowed to speak within the original context, his power of persuasion is unmistakable. For example, in April 1939, Hitler was at the height of his power and popularity in Germany. He had executed a series of conquests without bloodshed, occupying Austria and part of Czechoslovakia. His new order was on the march, and nobody knew just how far Hitler was prepared to go. It was almost 5 months before the war started, and almost 2 years before the attack on Pearl Harbor. The United States was still neutral, and President Roosevelt was trying to head off a war he saw on the horizon. Roosevelt sends Hitler a telegram of concern, listing the countries he thought Hitler was targeting. Hitler replies in one of his best public performances, a twisted, stand-up comic routine.
Herr Roosevelt verlangt die Bereitwilligkeit, in die Zusicherung zu geben, dass die deutschen Streitkräfte das Staatsgebiet oder die Besitzungen folgender unabhängiger Nationen nicht angreifen und vor allem nicht dort einmarschiert werden, wo der Mensch als waffenfrei kommen nun. Finnland, Lettland, Litauen, Estland, Norwegen, Schweden, Dänemark, Niederlande, Belgien, Großbritannien, Irland, Frankreich, Portugal, Spanien, die Schweiz, Liechtenstein, Luxemburg, Polen, Rumänien, Jugoslawien,
there's a bottleneck at the mint, so you'll have to unload some fake bills before you can print any more. Stop watching the currency markets and sell, sell, sell. It's as good a time as any other.
And he was one of the first modern politicians to truly understand the awesome power and influence of the media. He and his advisors micromanaged every public appearance.
He played a role. It was different roles, as we know, meanwhile, but performance was part of his nature.
And that makes this tape so extraordinary. Not just because someone managed to record it, but because of the way Hitler sounds. Charming, relaxed, perhaps most shockingly, completely reasonable. This is nothing like the Hitler we think we know. So much so that some believe this recording is a forgery.
Sometimes it feels okay, but at other points not. I have the feeling it's someone mimicking Hitler.
Could this carefully modulated voice really be that of Adolf Hitler? Dr. Stefan Refer, head of forensic speech analysis at the Bundeskriminalamt, the German FBI, will help unravel this mystery.
Is it Hitler's voice in this short sample we have, or is it somebody mimicking him?
And if this really is the private Hitler, what was he saying?
35.000 Panzer. Wir haben total über 34.000 Panzer.
What's going on, baby? Oh, yeah. It's bad weather outside. I can feel it. Oh, yes, I can. Oh. Welcome to my channel. I see you, Weasel News. You Weasel, you. It's my news. It is what it is. What's going on, people? What's going on? The truth is the truth. And that's what's going on. Are y'all ready to know the truth really is? Or do y'all want to continue living a lie to tell y'all kids? It's time for the truth to carry on. We've been living on lies too long. So I see it like this. Started off from heaven to this. Start off as a heart. Everything in you, created from you by your mother and your father. We all conscious thinking, humans living here, consciously thinking together. Well, there's no problem that we can't come together and solve together. Unless we living under somebody else's foot that don't want us to come together. I'm talking about big bank, big business, big put you in the jail cell. Some rich motherfuckers that got nothing but stock. And putting people in jail cells and body bags.
That's all movie, boy. Woo! Good. Oh.
Truth is the truth.
Man.
Like my dog, he about to say the truth is the truth like I'm about to say it to y'all people.
Oh,
the violence that's in the movie.
He's killing bad people.
Even though he's killing bad.
He's just killing evil. He just like he said, what happened, they took he said his wife and kid were killed in a drive-by.
little 5-year-old son and his wife said, and he said, my wife was killed, they didn't find nobody, there was so many gang members and drive-by gangs, it was so many motherfuckers involved, they couldn't find the motherfucker that did it. And they said this motherfucker Seagal was like a general in special forces.
Nigga, I know
best of the best.
Dave, I watched that boy bad.
That motherfucker.
That boy bad.
And then he just took his own life. The fuck after
Dave, he said, like this was, like I said.
I'm finished, man.
Dave, like, you go to YouTube, you can see extra shit about that bullshit. The movie was based upon the honor of everything not being honorable, bro.
Yeah.
And somebody had to take out the trash.
Yeah.
Oh, that nigga was bitch.
That
nigga bitch, bro.
He clean the crime decreased this shit.
Bro, I stopped watching, bro. That nigga killed everything, bro. But it was bad. It was all bad.
Killed the reporter and the cameraman,
dude.
Damn. And his boy couldn't handle him. He spared him. He just showed his boy, you really can't fuck with me. He fucking his boy up.
It's almost like, why would your boy even try to even...
Your teacher, you can't whoop your teacher.
Now why did that? This came to me the other day. It's like, if a nigga kill your master, what the fuck is you talking about? What they call that deal? When you for your master,
they call him sensei.
Okay, what they call it when you when the sensei die and you do something fun. You going when you go back and try to kill a motherfucker that just killed the sensei.
Oh yeah, revenge.
Revenge, all right. This came to me. I said, this going to show you how much the movie trips your head out. If a motherfucker kill your sensei, that's already tell you that motherfucker's a bad motherfucker already. Right or wrong, Dave? Now, if you couldn't beat your sensei, what are you going to do and fuck with that dude? Now, does that make sense, Dave?
He felt like he was the only one who
could
do it.
But like I said again, it's not possible, Dave. Think about it, Dave.
He got out of there. He didn't kill him. He got out of there.
But like I said, but is it possible, Dave? Mm-hmm. If a motherfucker killed you ain't killing that dude that killed your sensei.
And then he told his boy, he said, man, you still a fucked up. He said, you was so fucked up. Every pretty thing you saw in a dress, you wanted to fuck. Mm-hmm. That's how you lost your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Said, that's how you lost your wife and your kids don't know where they at. He said, because you a fuck up.
And that was the only reason why he wanted to go after him. Because he knew he was a fuck up and he knew that dude was about righteous. Mm-hmm. That's the righteous you're talking about. Making something right out of wrong that was done in you.
One thing we did right though, he saved that girl.
Yeah.
And that girl, so I don't care what you said, he saved my life.
Yeah. And that was all the key.
He said the man gave me the glove. He just gave it to me. So I said, so homeboy lived. But them motherfuckers, them special forces motherfuckers know how to disappear and shit. What the fuck? We don't even know if that was Seagal that died.
All I can say to you, Dave, is gonna go on, Dave, because there's a lot of killing he need to do, dog. And you saw how he did. He had fun. He was popping him in the head, the eyeball.
That in the beginning of the movie, he just wiped out the whole the gang.
The whole gang. Let
white supremacists.
Let one nigga wipe his hand.
Because he wanted them to go tell him.
Yeah, go tell him.
He said, if he knew you like her, he wanted to go send a message. And them dudes, the dude said, man, he said, that good doctor. He said, so I don't know what happened. He said, man,
I need a doctor. I don't know what happened. I need a doctor.
I thought they had killed him, but in the end, he wasn't dead.
Yeah, he's not. He
didn't kill him. When he hollered like a bitch.
Yeah,
I thought they killed him there.
But then I thought about it. He's a little weasel, so we're gonna hold on to him. He's a little weasel.
Then I saw this other one called Trade, and this one was back in the Western days. It was like the dude was saying, when women was really fucked over, made hoes.
Yeah.
And this dude's daughter got snatched. She wanted to be, but then you come to find out, the mama was a hoe before he married her, because he ran into the hoe that loved him and said, you took good old Holly. But Holly was working in the saloon too. He got a hoe, and the daughter had that spirit in her. She wanted to go do something with her life. But then, when she got taken, she glad her daddy came and found her. came, boy, he went through hell and everything, but he went and got his daughter, man. He killed, but he was ex gunslinger. Nobody knew he was ex gunslinger.
He went back
through there. He killed everybody. He killed everybody that had something except the first motherfucker that got on the train. He killed every motherfucker that had something to do with his daughter being snatched up, man. Boy.
So like I said again, Dave, every movie that you can get your eyes on, if it don't have some violence, some sex, or some fucked up shit going on in it, you ain't got no movie. Well, you get your dose of everything.
That shit is as real as it get about how motherfucker. And that slave trade is heavy. That slave trade is heavy, Dave.
Woo, Dave, you gotta realize, Dave, they got people.
Worldwide,
Dave, they got people with big money now, Dave.
We saw Taken.
But they got, like I said, Taken was a little bite of it.
Taken showed you how them motherfuckers in them foreign countries.
Yeah, bro.
They snatch
what they want, they get, Dave.
Get them, man.
What they want, they get,
Dave.
Dave.
Motherfucker said, you got about 24 hours to get your daughter. That motherfucker was crazy. Classic movie. Flying his daughter. That motherfucker, at the end of it, he gonna put a knife to her throat. Shot that motherfucker. Hi, how?
Alright, well, when negotiate.
Let's negotiate. Motherfucker, that's my kid. I ain't
my daughter. All the shit that you were gonna do to her, too?
Yeah. Big old motherfucker. But she was fresh meat. That made her more a better price. Cause she wanted a hoe.
To make somebody into something, Dave, that's fucked up. Oh, look at Pinky. We got Pinky limo. Got Pinky. What's up, Pinky? Get at the club limo. Going to the club?
Sharp, boss.
Thank you, darling. Who knows? Go to the roof.
Word of warning, partner. The ID business is at maximum capacity. So you'll need to unload some bogus documents before you can print any more or, like, make a profit, okay? Comprende? Sell something! LJT out.
Hello, you're through to Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help? Great. The aircraft is waiting for you at our nearest airfield. We trust you'll be happy, sir.
movie called The Prince. Got what's his name in it? I think 50 Cent in the motherfucker. Bruce Willis. It takes place in New Orleans and shit.
It's called The Prince.
It's called The Prince. Prince. The Prince. It's about a guy who worked for the mob elite. But at the beginning of the movie, it shows killing in the Ninth Ward, something. But the backdrop to New Orleans. Came out in 14. Well, I bet you've seen it. 50 Cent in it, Bruce Willis. It's called The Prince.
I'm about to put it on because New Orleans. I ain't never seen them that with Bruce Willis in New Orleans. Not Bruce Willis. Got a jet on that.
Boss. I'm here for you, boss. 100%. Oh, hi. What do you need? I'll take care of the food. You take care of the company. Have a good day.
Hey, you?
Hi, Dad.
Where are you? You're not home.
No, I'm at my friend's house. I'm calling you my phone, so.
How is everything?
Good. Good, things are good. Just, tired.
I bet. A lot of work. A lot of books. Oh. It's Chicago, hot delivery. Go by? Go on by. Go on by.
There was so much. Stop.
Picking you up from the airport. We're going right there when you come in the weekend.
Awesome.
Finals?
Fearless
Good.
leader.
Bad? What?
They were fine. Nothing too intense, but, it's good.
What's the matter?
Oh, what? What do you mean?
No, nothing. Just a little down.
I don't know, maybe we're in the flu or something. I don't know. I gotta go. I have an exam tomorrow, and I should go.
Okay. Yeah. I want to study.
Dad. I can't wait for next weekend.
Me too.
Miss you.
Miss you. Take care.
You're through to HQ. Your helicopter will be with you directly.
I'm gonna need you to move out to my landing zone. Make yourself comfortable. We'll try and make it as smooth a flight as possible. See you later. Greetings. Enjoy the complimentary champagne in the back. Just tell me where we're going. No problem. Enjoy the ride. The city's more beautiful up here.
Yeah? Hey, who's this?
There's some serious wind out there and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, is she there? Shit, this ain't even my phone.
Life makes a lot more sense up here.
Hey, Danny.
Not a problem. We'll get you there soon.
Also, guy answered it. He didn't seem to know your words other than what I lose your phone. Something that, you're probably not getting this anyway. Give me a call. Also, yeah, I got a notice from school about something, but, we'll talk about it.
I love an argument with gravity, don't you?
Westward Falls. Yes, this is a girlfriend. My daughter's best friend. I called earlier and I talked to the Justin.
Feels like anybody's been there for a while.
I bet you're happy to be out the LS traffic. I'd fly for the LSPD, but I don't like cops. No, I don't. Where'd you make your money? Was it the drugs or the guns? I'm not bizarre. I'd fly one of these helis through a hurricane. This is the only way to get around San Andreas. From the beach to downtown Los Santos before your hair's dry.
Let me ask you something. You see either of these two girls here tonight? I didn't tell you, man. After a while, they all look the same.
You know, I don't even mind being paid with your ill-gotten gains. Just don't tell my mummy.
Excuse me.
We're up here above the idiots. Well, almost.
No, I just, I'm
All
looking
right
for my
then.
daughter.
Enjoy the view.
Right.
Like the sign says, you want a beer shot with me?
No, I just... Have you seen either of these girls here tonight?
What? Here it is. Give me $4.
Not this. You just take this 20, look at the picture, give me it.
Sorry, buddy. Haven't seen either of them tonight. Good luck with that.
Can I have a water, please? Water. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Not interested. Just give me a second. Miss, I'm best father.
Okay, it's okay. Where'd you get this?
From her apartment, which I've been calling for a week and there's no answer, so I'm just wondering.
Oh, so you've been going through your stuff.
I'm worried about her.
I don't know where she is. Can we get out of here?
Yeah, this place sucks.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one thing?
Hey!
Wait, back off, asshole! Hey, that's enough. That's enough. Everybody. Can you help me? Just 5 minutes.
Okay, you've done the hard part. Now deliver those goods undamaged and we'll get paid in full.
I'm gonna meet up with you later. I said I'll meet up with you later.
What up?
Are you alright?
Fine. Just a few questions.
I already told you that first.
You're a friend, right? So you know her. You have some ideas, anything where she got. I thought 5 minutes. Need 5 minutes.
Hungry. heard from her. People change. We're in college. We want distractions.
I understand that. It's just I don't know where she is. That's never been the case before. You're a friend. You're telling me you don't know where she is. So, any help you give?
I'm not a bad person. Okay, I do what any other person my age does. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to spend time. I work hard. Beth, she doesn't go to school anymore. She is doing shit that I'm not into.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You do know. You said, what does that mean?
So, a month ago, we went to New Orleans and she ended up dating this guy named Eddie. Thinks he's this badass and he's got drugs everywhere. And everyone here probably knows him because they go to him to get some shit. But she fell for it. She fell for him. She said she was going to go down last week and that she'd be back Sunday and I had to cancel.
You know this guy?
Everybody knows this guy.
Do you know where he works? Do you know where he lives? Do you know where he deals? Any of those things?
I told you, New Orleans. Like, no,
New Orleans is a big city. Do you know where you can find him?
Yeah. I know people that know him.
Can you drive me down there right now? I'll give you some money.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm really drunk.
I'll drive your car. I'll give you $500. We drive down. Just point out where he lives. It doesn't matter. Whenever we get there, you can go right back. That's all I'm asking.
So I said, did you say $500?
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's the middle of the night.
No. Thank you. Check.
If you're so worried about that, why don't you just call the cops?
Because they wouldn't even do anything for 48 hours unless they're recorded with this. Even then, they're not going to give it any priority. They just assume she's a teen who ran away.
Which she kind of has, if you think about it.
How did that know?
How many Beths do you think there are? One. You know what I think? I think this whole thing's your fault. You're the stereotype. You're like one of those art-ass parents that just doesn't get it. It's like the more you keep someone from doing something, the more they want to try it.
So, your suggestion is that I should encourage your boys to get drunk and stoned. Participate in that. So you're bad.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you should just let it be a teenager. You know, it's natural to experience things. And from what I heard, you kept getting locked down and you barely got out of the house. What'd you expect?
Is that what she said?
Come on. Come on, you can't keep a kid locked up. Because then they finally get out there in the real world and they start experiencing all the shit that they've been missing and then they go crazy. You know, it's like they're trying to make up for lost time. They're so annoying.
You're through to your garage. You, need me to bring you a ride? It's coming at you.
Okay, we did it. That one's going on the balance sheet for next quarter.
Just do whatever you normally do. You see the city guy, just let me know somehow. Try to tell me about it. Good luck.
love him. Post fucking undocumented. True to the truth, period. Fuck all the bullshit. I probably say, well, you don't never change, bro. I'm gonna do that when I feel like it. Right now, you're watching my shit. And it is what it is, and it goes. Weasel News. You want to see? You want to see what it can see? My crew is called LovE. I can't get no one in my crew because there ain't got no love in this game. Y'all do what y'all do. Y'all a bunch of killers. I just shoot up a computer. I don't kill people's names over here. Really. Weasel News. And rolling through it. And see the police up in no good. So what you saying, then? Hold on, I can't let Vandy come wherever I want to come at. Y'all can't. Y'all can't. Claim no sweat. I see you news. Weasel News. I do whatever good I want to do to them. See y'all say I need to roll out, I ain't going with it. Go here into Ballers. just when they start to go to sleep. Conan ain't nothing but night owl.
off the Western Highway just before Paleto Bay. You got any friends who, like, totally overreact when you say something? Well, my friend Avi's kind of like that. A few years ago, I told him there was a warrant out on him, and he goes full hermit, like stealing food from trash cans, talking to the trees, jerking it with squirrels type hermit. I mean, I know guys who go into hiding and don't even change their golf club. The cops are not that smart or motivated. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Schwartzman. He's reluctantly agreed to help us tune into the Pacific Standard Frequency. So give him the transponder, let him do his thing, then give it to Paige. I've packed silenced pistols and sniper rifles in your day packs, just in case. Slight change of plans. So, it would appear that some of Avi's paranoia might have been somewhat justified. Our call got picked up, they came after him, and he ran. Now he's holed up in a hut on some small island off the coast, surrounded by about 20 government agents. As much as I'd love to hang him out to dry, he's our only shot at this. Well, it's kind of our fault, so... So, I'm sending you to a rental place on Innocento Road. Pick up some sea sharks and get out to the island. The sea sharks, get to the island. It's only a matter of time before he does a Butch Cassidy the nut job. So, Avi's not gonna come out of his hut until all the cops are gone. Gone, you understand? You might not want to let him know you're there until you've got it in hand. Oh yeah, and you're gonna need a boat to get him off the island. But, I'm guessing the cops won't need theirs when you're done with them. Right? Give it up! You're surrounded! Army clear. Get the hermit out of his hut and go.
Never should have stuck my head out. It was cool. Don't answer the phone to Lester Crest. All right. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
You know I said there was a small window? Well, that window is closing. If you don't get Avi to Page soon, the transponder's gonna lock and all this will be for nothing.
Lester Crest, you asshole! I know his secrets. I know where the bodies are buried. Well, are you a cop?
I'm not a cop, I'm helping Lester. Have you done it?
What?
Has he done it?
Well, I don't have the Pacific Standard Frequency here. I don't have my tools.
Ain't that convenient. I've got some tools. Come on. Lester will meet you back at your place. And don't worry, the transponder will be ready for the job.
A word of warning, partner.
Ah, good, good, good.
First up, you gotta collect the van from outside my garment factory. When you've got the van, I'll come back to you with details on what to do next. You see, I've split a larger task up into a series of smaller, easily achievable goals. Got that from a management book. Does it make you like me more? Do you feel like you're working more effectively? Well, hey, at least you're not thinking about having to kill people. Damn it, I bet that's all you're thinking about now. Okay, now take out the competition. The crew in the alley's gotta go before you swap across the equipment. They can't know which van the box is in.
I better go ahead, man. You have to go get the van first. For the bait and switch, move the equipment into our van.
Film that shit!
Okay, now one of you is taking our van and bringing it to Page. The rest of you are waiting in the alley, taking anyone who shows up on a wild goose chase in the other van.
What you got for me? I could use some hardware like this. I'll case it up, get the interface ready. Hey, if I don't see you before the job, I should say, try not to fuck it up, alright?
A word of warning, partner. The ID business is at maximum capacity, so you'll need to unload some bogus documents before you can print any more, or, like, make a profit, okay? Comprende? Sell something! LJT out.
Stay safe, alright? I don't keep a record of purchases.
up, baby? Where the money at? Nigga, smell that. Then you ask me where the money at. Smell that. Smell that. Smell that. Yeah, just give me 60 and hold up the 60 for me. Okay? I'll be back Friday, maybe tonight. You know what I'm saying? $20 ain't too bad. And $50. Right? Right? Bro, the motherfucker took $1,440, bro, in Jamaica, New York at a fucking deli, at Saheen Deli, dog. You know what I'm saying? And guess what, John? They ain't much have my motherfucking card, my nigga. That chip that come on your card, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That got all your fucking information on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? If you go to an ATM and it say unsecured site, you know what I'm saying? Unsecured whatever, that means they could put something in there and get your account shit, right? Them bitches changed my PIN number and everything, dog. Bro, I kept calling them motherfuckers say incorrect PIN, right? Kept calling incorrect PIN. The fuck you mean incorrect PIN? You know what I'm saying? That's my mama's birthday I use. I don't use nothing pertaining to me. You know what I'm saying? So I called the motherfucker. I said I can't use my card, and they said I got the wrong PIN. I said, well, how much my balance? She said, well, are you in New York? I said, hell no, I ain't no motherfucking New York. They said, well, $1,440 was spun at Saheen Deli. I said, I be fucked. Niggas right there on top of your phone. Yeah, man, John, I was so motherfucking upset, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was hurt, bro.